Hey everyone. And move and we have our being. Everybody always says, oh, we live, in him we live. Oh, we have our being. No, don't skip over that middle part. It says we move. You see, in order for action to even start, somebody has to lift up their foot and put it down again, which is stepping and walking and moving. And you see what happens? That if we're in him, we should be doing those three things. We should be living. Because see, living is about movement. Even if you're dying, you're still living. So what are you doing in those moments when you're still alive? You must be moving. And when you live and you move, then you have. People always wonder why they don't have what they want, because they haven't moved. So you have to decide to do and to move audaciously. And the first thing you want to do with that is you're going to make time-bound plans. We talked about this yesterday when we were covering speech, that you should speak in a way that has deadlines and time limits and timelines associated with it. The same is even more important when you're making a plan to move. A lot of times I'll give people assignments when they're working with me. If they are trying to birth a creative baby, I say, let's put a date on it. And Beyonce says, put a ring on it. I say, put a date on it. And when you put a date on it, we're going to pretend that that date is set in stone. And you're going to work your hardest. And when that date comes, you're going to drop something. Even if it wasn't everything you intended to drop, something is going to drop. Because I believe when you birth something, movement begins. And then momentum is unleashed. So number one, you're going to have time-bound plans and you're going to move on them. You're going to pretend like the date is inflexible. You know, this happens a lot in faith-based and Christian circles. Is we say, well, I'm not moving yet because I'm waiting. I'm waiting on the Lord, or I'm praying, I'm being still. Now that's good. You know, I move fast, and the way God talks to me is he says, Jade, I need you to sit your behind down. That's just how we talk. And when he tells me that, I sit my behind down. And I listen and I wait. But you know what he then tells me once I sit down and I get still? He tells me how to move again. So don't you allow indecision to be masked by you saying that you're praying or waiting on something. God blesses decisions and he blesses movement. And even if you're making not the quite right move, once you start moving, he can tell you which way to go. He can't tell you anything if you're just standing there. So make time-bound decisions and move on them. Number two, this one's a hard one for me. I'm still getting used to this one. If you want to do things audaciously, you're not always going to be able to do them by yourself. You're going to have to, can I say it, ask for help. And you're going to have to find an audacious partner to do your world changing with. I talk about people as my partners in crime. My big time partner in crime right now, he's watching right now, is Fred Jones, Dr. Fred Jones. You know him as @FredJonesSpeaks. This man is my publishing guru. He is my strategist. I could have written this book on my own, because I did write it on my own. I could have published it on my own, and I did publish it through Jade Media Publishing. But I couldn't give it wings on my own. I knew that if I wanted this big book to do big things, and I wanted it to be bigger than Jade and bigger than my ego or bigger than my vanity, I had to partner with someone who already knew the stuff I didn't know. You see, when you partner with someone, what happens is you now get the benefit, the brain power, the extra juice that comes with their expertise. I know a lot, and I know you know a lot. My family jokes, and they say I have a PhD in LBE, which is a little bit of everything. That's because I'm addicted to knowledge. I love to learn, and I know lots of trivia and little facts, and I know lots about a lot of things. I don't know everything. So you want to look for audacious partners who know more than you do, who have more experience, who can help you give your own projects wings. Hopefully it will be a mutual exchange so that the partnership is not lopsided. Because see, in your audacious living, your goal is not just to benefit yourself. It's to benefit the world around you. So you want to look for audacious partners in crime. And then you want to become, number three, addicted to re-education. Re-education means you go back, you look over your arsenal, you look over everything you know, and you fill in the blanks. You decide that you're going to learn more than you already know about something. Because once you add to your arsenal, once you become even greater weaponized, once you have more knowledge, you have more tools to work with. So now you're going to be able to do quicker, you're going to be able to do better, your quality is going to be higher because you're constantly re-educating yourself. You see, if you stay at the same level of education, even the people you're called to help are eventually going to outgrow you. They're going to move on to somebody else who knows more. So part of your responsibility is to continually find out what you don't know and fill in the gaps. I think it's such a great habit to begin to look now for things that you don't know. Don't be afraid of finding out what you still need to figure out. Because when you find that out, then you can figure it out, then you can do audaciously, then you can move. Lastly, or I should say, actually I have two more. Number 4 is you should always be striving for level next. Okay. I love house flipping shows. I don't know if any of you out there are wannabe house flippers like me, but I have a show that I love to watch, and I waited all year for it to come back on. Now this show is called Flip or Flop. Some of you might have seen it. And on Flip or Flop, there's this couple, and they go and they flip these houses in California. They're kind of smallish houses, and they rip everything out, or sometimes they will buy houses sight unseen. So the thing that was entertaining the first year was that sometimes they would buy houses they hadn't seen and find out that the insides were much more of a mess. They would go over budget, they would make these big mistakes, and they would vow to never do that again. And they would somehow still make a decent profit. And this was exciting because you wanted to see them kind of make this mistake and then fix the mistake, and you watch them design the houses. So I loved it, got addicted. Second season, finally excited for it to come back on. I couldn't stay interested. Couldn't figure out why I wasn't interested anymore. You know why? I figured out it was because they were doing everything the same. They were making the same mistakes. They were making the same profit. They were flipping the same sorts of houses. They were using the same exact design elements they'd done last year on these. They hadn't upgraded in the type of houses they were flipping. They hadn't upgraded in the types of clients they were able to sell to. They hadn't upgraded in profit. Now it's fine for them. I'm sure they're still making whatever money they make just from being on the show. But for me, I want to see a new level because it's only natural to elevate. If you find yourself in the same situation, making the same profit, affecting in the same way, even if it's a high level, you should know there's more. We should always be about the business and going after more. I mean, even God himself promised us that things would be greater and greater as time went on, that we would do greater things than he. I mean, that's an audacious thing for him to say. He's not a liar. So if we're going to do more audacious things than he did, then we must have to at least start by doing more audacious things than we did last year, last week even. So you should always be striving for level next. Lastly, in doing audaciously, you have to embrace 180s. I was so surprised to see that when we released audio samples of some of these prayers, we released a prayer about gratitude, a prayer to go after big exploits, and then there was this prayer to embrace 180s. It is by far the most popular prayer. It's because we're all faced with this moment where we're completely flipped around, completely surprised by circumstances or opportunities, and we're asked to go in an entirely different direction than we ever dreamed imaginable. Now, most of us make the mistake of fighting that 180 and deciding to hold on to what we know because it's familiar. But let me tell you, because I've experienced at least 3 180s in the last year. Every time I said yes to the 180, they opened up doors that I could not imagine being open. Last year, started on Facebook, I decided to be more open about my faith because I was giving so much inspiration, and I thought I need to be very clear about where this inspiration is coming from. It was a risk to talk very openly about my faith, but I'll tell you what, the number of people who were reading my material increased drastically. Then I got an opportunity to do more overt ministry at my church, which I had never looked for, never wanted. I said yes to that. Everything changed. Doors opened. So you need to embrace these wild 180s when they come, because behind them is an opportunity to do things in a bigger way. So if you are now thinking and speaking more audaciously, the final step is to do audaciously. We're going to be doing that all month long, starting tomorrow, and our 31-day Dare to Pray Audaciously challenge begins. Go to Amazon right now, look for Audacious Prayers. All of the formats are drastically discounted right now. I've so enjoyed these 3 days with you, and I look forward to spending the next month with you as well. So tune in starting tomorrow morning. Just keep your notifications on because it'll be a different time probably each morning. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. And if you haven't been able to participate in these 3 days, never fear. I have had an idea that I think at Fred Jones Speaks is going to like. I'm going to turn these 3 days into a Kindle short read so that you'll have all this material fleshed out for you in written form. So watch the replay if you had any trouble with connections. I see some of you are coming back on. And check this out. Watch the 3 days. Share it with your followers and tell them to join us starting tomorrow. See you tomorrow back here on Periscope. Have an audacious day.